They never heard it coming. At exactly 2:17 a.m., a Russian forward operating base in eastern Ukraine vanished from the map, obliterated in a matter of seconds. Surveillance drones caught only a flicker of fire before static flooded the screens. The men inside never stood a chance. For weeks, the Russian military had boasted impenetrable defenses in the Luhansk sector. But all it took was a single volley of HIMARS missiles, precise, silent, and utterly devastating, to remind them the battlefield is never truly safe. This is the inside account of the midnight strike that stunned Russian command and shifted the momentum of the war. By late June 2025, the war in eastern Ukraine had become a war of attrition. Both sides had dug in deep. Russia had transformed the small town of Novodrozhsk into a fortified command and logistics hub. Surrounded by layered defenses, electronic jamming fields, S-400 air defense systems, and armored convoys, it had become a symbol of Russian control in Luhansk. Colonel Mikhail Reznikov, commander of the base, was confident. "We are untouchable," he told a Russian state media outlet, touring underground bunkers and proudly showcasing NATO equipment captured in earlier offensives. The base housed over 350 personnel, dozens of armored vehicles, and a critical mobile radar unit used to track Ukrainian air movements. But what Reznikov didn't know, what no one in that base suspected, was that the Ukrainians had eyes in the sky and boots in the shadows. And they were watching, waiting, and marking every heat signature and fuel truck that came in. 2 weeks before the strike, a Ukrainian special reconnaissance unit operating under NATO guidance managed to slip a drone into the perimeter. The drone, an American-supplied Black Hornet Nano UAV, was no bigger than a hummingbird and nearly undetectable. Piloted by Lieutenant Andriy Polovets from 30 kilometers away, the tiny drone weaved through camouflaged netting, scanning for command tents, fuel depots, and mobile radar units. "We found the core in 3 passes," Andriy later said. But the crown jewel was the underground fiber communications bunker. It was hidden beneath an old concrete water tower. The Ukrainian military began preparing a precision strike using the M142 HIMARS, high-mobility artillery rocket system, provided by the U.S., now outfitted with GMLRS-ER missiles, capable of striking targets over 150 kilometers away with pinpoint accuracy. But the strike couldn't be random. Timing was everything. They needed the right moment, when the highest-value targets would be clustered together. They didn't have to wait long. On July 12, 2025, intercepted Russian communications revealed that 2 high-ranking officers from the Russian 8th Guards Combined Arms Army would visit the Novodrozhsk base that night. They were scheduled to attend a midnight briefing in the underground bunker with Colonel Reznikov himself. The Ukrainian High Command, after confirming the intel through NATO satellites and informants on the ground, gave the green light. Operation Phantom Lightning was born. A convoy of HIMARS units rolled into a forest clearing near Sloviansk under the cover of night. Each launcher was loaded with extended-range guided missiles, each with a margin of error less than 2 meters. They were 94 kilometers from the target. By 2 a.m., all targeting data had been confirmed. Final adjustments were made based on live drone feeds. At 2:13 a.m., the launch command was given. 2:13 a.m. The HIMARS units fired 12 missiles into the night sky. No sound echoed from the launch site, only soft exhaust hiss and recoiling chassis. The missiles arced high into the upper atmosphere before plummeting toward Novodrozhsk. Inside the base, Colonel Reznikov and the generals had just descended into the underground chamber when the first explosion struck. 2:17 and 3 seconds a.m. A missile slammed into the eastern fuel depot, triggering a fireball that shattered windows 2 kilometers away. 2:17 and 6 seconds a.m. The second wave obliterated the mobile radar and command center, vaporizing 25 personnel and cutting all comms. 2:17 and 8 seconds a.m. 3 GMLRS hit the underground water tower entrance with terrifying precision, sending shockwaves through the subterranean bunker. Steel doors twisted like paper. Concrete cracked. The lights went out. 2:17 and 10 seconds a.m. Final missiles hit the motor pool and air defense systems. AS-400 radar dome lifted into the air, shredded by the force. Above, the reconnaissance drone broadcast its final image, a panorama of devastation. Flames roared from craters. Trucks flipped. Screams faded into silence. Then, black. The base was no more. Within 17 seconds, Russia's most fortified position in Eastern Luhansk had ceased to exist. Russian state media went silent for hours. Then came a vague statement: a fire incident occurred due to technical failure at a logistics center. But the reality couldn't be hidden. Satellite images leaked online showed the site flattened: no bunkers, no vehicles, no radar dishes. Only smoking ruin. Telegram channels flooded with images: scorched helmets, twisted steel, a crater so deep it exposed groundwater. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky simply tweeted, "Precision wins wars." The world knew exactly what he meant. In Moscow, the Kremlin held emergency meetings. Top military analysts scrambled to explain how such a secure location had been hit with zero warning. Some blamed NATO. Others whispered of betrayal from within. Colonel Reznikov and the visiting generals were never found. Enraged, Russia launched a retaliatory missile barrage the next night, targeting what they believed was the HIMARS launch site. But Ukrainian forces had already moved the launchers hours after firing. The Russian missiles struck empty forest and a goat farm. In retaliation, Ukraine launched a second HIMARS strike, this time on a Russian train depot in Alchevsk, causing a chain reaction explosion that burned for 14 hours. Over 20 supply cars carrying munitions, fuel, and drones were destroyed. Suddenly, the Russian war machine in Luhansk began to grind to a halt. Fuel ran low. Communications were severed. Troops demoralized. Ukrainian forces advanced 5 kilometers in 48 hours, retaking territory that had been under Russian control for over 18 months. The HIMARS had not just struck a base. It had struck the morale, coordination, and illusion of Russian invincibility. The midnight HIMARS strike became a legend, passed around campfires and war briefings alike. To the Ukrainians, it was proof that brains and precision could beat brute force. To the Russians, it was a nightmare, a reminder that no bunker was deep enough, no defense impenetrable. Months later, remnants of Novodruzhsk still smoldered. And in the silence of that charred land, one truth echoed louder than the explosions. In modern war, seconds decide empires.